them come. This is their fate.
All right. Welcome back. Let me get my bourbon here. Welcome back to the House of Wolves podcast. I am your host, Deontay, here with my near and dear friends, Jalen and Josh. Oh, I'm skipping a beat there. Near and dear friends, Jalen and Josh. Like almost like I don't mean it. No, just but Jalen and Josh is here with me as well. Today we got a lot to talk about. I don't know, a bunch of stuff with Xbox. Unfortunately, they can't seem to get the messaging right. PlayStation talking about they almost done with their PS5 console and they moving on to the next new shiny. Helldivers 2, Apex Legends Straight Shots impressions, a bunch of stuff has come out recently. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. But before we get started, as usual, Jalen, Josh, tell the people how you been, what you've been up to, what you've been doing, how's life going. Talk to the people.
Yeah. So I'll kick it off while my voice is still available.
Oh my
me,
goodness.
I'm always sick, not feeling good. But this time, I say it probably wasn't my fault. Because I've been actually feeling pretty healthy and everything last few days. But my wife came down and got sick first. It's like influenza, flu season in
Oh
Japan.
no.
And so yeah, it's been going around. But she got sick for a bit, so I stayed home to help take care of the baby and stuff, make sure the baby doesn't get catch it too. And so the baby's been fine, but I ended up catching what she had. So now I'm feeling a little under weather, but I guess I got mild symptoms, so it should be going soon.
Okay.
Other than that, just been home taking care of the family. Like I said, haven't played too many games really. Actually, not much at all. Just this one. Last week I organized my whole backlog, and I had my plan which games I'm gonna play first and play the shortest ones first so I could finish those. So I ended up finishing Final Fantasy 7 Intergrade.
Yep. Yeah, you were talking about that one.
Yeah, I really like the gameplay of it, and I like Yuffie. The story, unfortunately, is stupid.
It's a dub.
They're gonna. It seems like they are gonna introduce all of the other extra stories of like the Final Fantasy games, because it's like 10 Final Fantasy 7 games, and some of the stories are terrible.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, but they are going to introduce those stories to be connected in some way to the new remakes. It might be like a minor boss or something, but those stupid anime side characters and bosses and
are
arcs
going to be there.
They're
getting their shine too. Okay. All right.
Yeah. You play Crisis Core, you remember Genesis, you might not remember, but Genesis, the dude in the red coat who always
yeah,
reading a book and stuff. He's a stupid character, and that's a stupid part of Final Fantasy VII. But realistically, they probably could just ignore him, right? You don't need him in the story. But It seems like characters like him, they're gonna include them if they can.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's a minor part, like a little extra boss fight, I don't care. But yeah, if it's
overarching,
yeah, then this can be a problem. But anyways, the gameplay was really fun, and I like how they, that was just sort of a preview to being able to combine your characters' skills to do team attacks. So we already seen a bunch of that, and that's available in the demo now for the next game. So I think the battle system is going to be a lot of fun in the next game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Do we like the silly, stupid things in Kingdom Hearts or no?
I mean, there wasn't as much I don't know. You can ask Jalen. He's more of a Kingdom Hearts sucker.
That's
I
what
don't
I
remember
was like,
being
I
as
don't
like
know if
bad
do
as
we
like
like it,
Final Fantasy.
or because it's not like it's really impactful to the story, but it's like interesting little things. So I wonder if it was done well or
I think it's
tastefully
done
in
better in
Kingdom
Kingdom
Hearts.
Hearts. Most of the time, it was done better.
Uh,
Whereas, like, let's say you got the Disney characters and they're doing the goofy stuff. That doesn't mind because it's just like a little. It's a real minor part of the story. Most of the time, and then when they have like the Kingdom Hearts villains, the people in the black coats and stuff like that. Most of the times, those characters are pretty serious, but they're not uh overdone. Whereas, like,
mm,
if you see the boss in Final Fantasy VII R, where the characters are pretty realistic and relatable, and then the boss in the Intergrade is like this anime dude in a straitjacket with a mask over his face, and he's like, "Hurt me more, Snake," and uh, like, "Oh, this is what pain feel like. Finally, my brother can feel the pain," and like this is literally what he's saying, and like
yeah,
nobody else like that in that world, and so it feels out of place. Whereas like Kingdom Hearts, it never like gets like that bad.
yeah. Okay, well, all right. Well, I guess it can be, yeah, a little bit more like tropey, annoying in certain situations. Yes, I think
That's
Genesis
one of the
was a
bosses.
ridiculous character.
What'd you say?
I said that's one of the
Yeah,
bosses. I gotta look into.
yeah, that's the final boss of Intergrade that Yuffie's fight. And to be fair, the boss fight, I enjoyed like the mechanics, but the character was like, is this even a Final Fantasy VII character? And it's like, oh yes, this is a Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy character. And Dirge of Cerberus is the spin-off game on the PS2 about the vampire character Vincent, and they give him like Super Saiyan vampire powers, and he fighting Super Saiyan vampires in Midgard. And at the end of the game, he turned into a giant bat, and he's flying around fighting the other giant vampire bats and stuff. So like that game is completely like insane and crazy with the stupid stuff, and they're bringing some of that back to the main characters.
Oh, wow. Well, you got some treats in there for you, Jalen. They got some, boy, do they got some stuff. So, okay. I mean, that sounds, you know what? It makes me interested in like looking up some of the lore, but I don't know if I want to do that either. Obviously, that was my
Oh
biggest
yeah,
problem with
most of
Kingdom
it is
Hearts
not
is
worth
like,
looking up, but
yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting.
The only thing that's and also like I didn't watch the whole thing, but people were saying like there is a Final Fantasy VII movie that is gonna have, I guess, have a lot of plot that's relevant to the game. I enjoyed the movie when I was young, but that was because it was like 2006 and it was like really good animation.
Hmm.
But basically the story doesn't hold up, but the fights might still be interesting.
Gotcha.
So hopefully still they don't overdo it with what they're adding from Advent Children.
Hmm. Okay. Cool. 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 Anything else? All right. That's all you had.
Uh, no, I just been playing a couple small indie games, but I haven't played too much of them to like really have an impression yet. Uh,
Gotcha.
but yeah, uh, after that, I'm probably finally move on to Cyberpunk. Put some time in that. I was gonna get Helldivers, but Helldivers is not like you can't get a match most of the time.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna
it's
just
very weird right now. And like I said, I picked it up, but it was more so for research purposes only. But I definitely have some thoughts about it. Um, what about you, Jalen? What you been up to? What you been doing?
I ain't been doing a whole lot. Um, Pretty much same old. I was playing Persona. I think I fought the second main boss. So I think I'm in like June, like at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of June, I think. So um, I ain't got a whole lot of time for that still. Uh, Trying to talk about the story a little bit, but the other thing is, I mean, we've been playing Apex. I mean, that's really about it. As far as life stuff, I mean, not a whole lot. Just hooping and stuff. I bought my first pair of new hoop shoes that I bought in a while because the other
What
shoes I've
kind?
been having, they just some LeBrons. I think they like LeBron Next or something. It's like
Oh,
it say NXXT. I think it's supposed to be pronounced next. I don't really know, but I actually bought a pair of hoop shoes. I was like, I need these. I've been hooping more. I'm gonna cop some because some of my old shoes, when I don't want to wear them and stuff no more, I turn them into like hoop shoes if they like retro. So like before I had some powder blue tans, and then I started. I lost one of the shoes. Don't ask how. I don't know what happened to the freaking shoe. And then I had these Charlotte tans, and I was hooping it up for a little bit. And I was like, let me go get some real hoop shoes instead of hooping in these retro. So that's what I did. So but other than that, like I said, just playing Apex and stuff like that. I played that for a fair amount.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, same. I play a lot of Apex, play a lot of Persona. I played some Hell Divers, as I stated, and that's about it. I mean, I'm contemplating getting I said I wasn't gonna do it, but y'all know me. I was contemplating getting a Lenovo Legion Go because I wanted to kind of switch, have a Windows based handheld one. I don't
Mhm.
want to buy it because I feel like the next iteration is going to be much better, and I might as well just wait. Because I don't need it now, and I think potentially Xbox. I would hope they would have something brewing. Maybe if they just working on Windows itself to become more handheld friendly, that would make more sense if they want the ecosystem to be kind of cross platform and easy going and easy to use. I would think them having a dedicated Game Pass app,
What's some,
cloud gaming, and all that
the dude
stuff.
from Verge hinting at that they're interested in some sort of handheld Windows,
Yeah, I don't
but I
know
don't
if
know whether it's
they'll
a
make it
partnership or
themselves.
their own. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think they'll make it themselves, but they definitely have a partnership, and I think those keeping it open source for other people to be able to use certain things is fine with me, as long as it's not like, you know, I don't think that's what they want to do anymore. They don't want to hold nothing to like hold nothing back. They just probably don't want to support Linux in the way that Steam is. So I'm fine with going back to Windows for certain amount of games because unfortunately, in my opinion, Xbox has truly, and we're gonna talk about that too, transitioned itself from a platform to incorporating like a true, I don't know, I just like they like a gaming solution to me now. It's like it feels like if I go through Windows or if I go through my Xbox, I still have the ability to switch back and forth between them. So having something in the middle of that, dedicated to supporting that, would make that transition a lot better. I wouldn't want a Steam OS box because again, it's not the same ecosystem that I know that they're building because the cross save, cross, stuff like that, cross, all that stuff that Steam does, but they do it in their own embedded. Xbox does it, but they also have the Xbox brand where I can sit at home and play the game on my console. So I still at this very moment um, prefer Xbox over Steam, but I know Steam has its benefits too. So I just want something that's going to connect my Windows to my Xbox, and that being a handheld PC would probably be the key. So I'm just debating it. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Looking at a lot of videos about the Lenovo Legion Go, and yeah, determining whether or not it should be a wait or buy now. Because I know that's what's going to happen. I just don't know if it's worth it, especially when we probably got new, more hardware coming down the line in the next 2 to 3, year or two from away. I think anyway. So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. But it kind of ties into everything we're going to be talking about today as well. But before we get into any of the Xbox stuff, me and Jalen, like what I tell y'all last time, right? I said I couldn't get Josh. He got sick and he stopped responding to us. So basically, he ignored. He might have been sick, but he still ain't respond. So I was like, oh, he got away with it. But Jalen couldn't. Jalen, we was able to get some games in, correct, Jalen, on Apex Legends? Straight shot.
We got a couple on.
Got a couple
Now.
in. Got a couple in. Some of the key hitters. I'm gonna let him speak to it. But No, just play. But Apex Legends, straight shot. They have a new mode where they basically turned and flipped their limited. They turned and flipped their battle royale and just made it faster. That is pretty much um it's simply what that solution was. It was just to make the that game mode faster, and it worked. It worked well. There is an adjustment to me. For where you got to get comfortable just moving all the time to in order to get to fights. At first, I was very much so stagnant, waiting for something to happen type of situation where you're not thinking that rotating is important and trying to get to the fights quickly is important. But if you sit and wait like you normally would in a battle, like the battle royale mode, you're literally not going to get to fights. And I think that's the same. It's the same in the battle royale. Like you have to be moving in order to get to fights. I think in this mode, it's just a lot easier to do that and a lot more fun because it's just less about what do I have on me and more about how do I take the fight and how do we win this fight and does it make sense to retreat. There is literally no got resource hoarding. There's no stupid I need a well we'll talk about that too. I need a site. We'll talk about the problem with the sites, but there's no like real significant issues to looting up and getting to a fight within 60 seconds. There is no real issue there. So I enjoy it for that reason alone. Obviously, I let Jalen share his opinion, but I would just state from a blankets, they are in my eyes in a good spot for me. Just for in regards to the battle royale and providing a way for me to be able to play it and enjoy it again. But let me kick it off to Jalen to talk about some of his thoughts, and then I got some questions. But go ahead.
I mean, the straight shot game mode, like you're saying, I mean, definitely got to figure out like the rotations and stuff like that. Granted, we spent a lot of that time playing like Storm Point or whatever, so I feel like Storm Point they need to probably condense that. So so you got the full map of Apex generally, but in straight shot you got a smaller group of people playing, and then they take a portion of the map. So I don't know how they choose how much of the portion of the map they take. I'm guessing it's probably something that's like automatic. Maybe they got to make like take 40% of the map away or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Storm Points seem to be a lot bigger and have less engagement than if you play like World's Edge or Olympus because it seemed like Storm Point just encompasses it just a little bit more. So
Yeah.
with that being said, majority of my time, playing with Deontay was on Storm Point. So a lot of my opinions and stuff is going to come from, more so playing on Storm Point. Overall, I think it's a cool game mode. I really like that they streamline the attachments. You don't got to go search for those. And, they just basically color the gun based on, if it's legendary, if it's rare, all that type of stuff for that with the little color tier system.
Yep.
I think it's better and because they tell you where the other team is at. I'd much rather play this game mode than playing a regular version of Apex because it seemed like it's really all about getting you into the game. The game got 30 people in here, the map's smaller, the guns are streamlined. You automatically start with some of the like upgrades, like you already got a blue backpack, you don't need to go pick up a white backpack, all that type of stuff. They literally tell you where the other team at that landed next to you. So you can go have an engagement immediately. You don't gotta follow people or try to go away from people that it's already set where you're gonna land. Um, so it's just real straightforward. Right? I mean, it even goes as far as the having a little queue up thing as soon as you automatically lose. You don't got to go back to the lobby to queue up for the next match and stuff like that. So that even works out. Overall, I think it's cool and everything. Again, just coming from somebody who liked Apex a lot, I'm not the biggest fan of Apex anymore because I feel like they've been really stagnant with what they did. And if I'm being completely honest, it's either I'm just bad at the game, or the a lot of the people that play this game is like the stragglers, or I don't even want to say stragglers, the people who probably been invested in the game for a while and play the game to like to the 10th degree or whatever. So maybe basically we ain't I didn't win playing that game, the straight shot. It was still cool. A lot of second places. Either like I said, I'm bad or I just run against the Apex Lords and I just couldn't win and stuff like that. So I think it's probably the Apex Lords, but you
We
know.
had one
But other than
opportunity,
that,
and then Storm Point, you know how they do. We got hit by the ring, and two people went down, and it was GG's from there. But we had definitely a good shot of winning twice, I say. It's just more so positioning. The first time was where we was by the rock and they were in that little middle area. We got sandwiched. The second time it was both on Storm Point. Second time is when we were trying to get around the rock to get to the circle, and both you and the teammate got hit with the ring, and it was just me, and I was trying to revive y'all, and I had to run through the team. So it was
yeah,
opportunities to win. It was just more so, um, and that's what I like. I like being. I don't like being, because it wasn't like super bad poor positioning. We could win at points. It was just more so determining a strategy and sticking with it. Like, obviously, when you told me let's take an evac, go behind the other team, I should have listened and did that. Instead, I was contemplating whether or not we should just fight the team behind us, and then we got sandwiched. So it was like situationals where I can remember why something happened versus how it used to be, where dude just had purples and I had like blues, or like dude just had red evos and he was out killing everything. I can say at least he earned that, and I just didn't have a loot situation. He earned those red evos by killing other people, and then we are running to some dogs because that's that's just what it is. Sometimes you're just gonna fight them too. So, but yeah, continue. I'm sorry, I don't even know where I cut you off, but I was just talking to that aspect of winning, that win to lose ratio for me, at least how I viewed it.
no, no, you good. Yeah, I mean we had opportunities to win and stuff like that, but I mean, some people with a battle royale because it's a multitude of things that can go awry, and
Yeah.
that's why you win or lose or whatever. So, um, like you said about the shields and stuff like that, a lot more streamlined. They got the eco harvesters. I personally haven't had any red shields because I wasn't doing enough damage. But like you said, you got to earn those. And then I mean, one of the best things about this game type is the music, man. That music at the start of it, I'm like, man, that's some good doggone music, bro. Like, like I'm engaged. I love it. I love it
it,
here. No,
it
just like
was
not, but
multiple times this guy said, "Oh, we did. At least we got the music back." Because when they queue up again when you die, I was like, "This." I said, "You finding the positives in it all." I see. So yeah,
playing to something, especially when you're playing. Apex. So
yeah.
the game, it ain't horrible. I mean, I see why I like the Apex and stuff like that, but I just think they did enough, and I ain't invested enough in the game to really be trying to learn all the heroes and stuff. I don't even know all these Jokers' names and the reworks of people and
Mm-hmm.
all that type of stuff. But I mean, it's not horrible, and it's a lot better than what the game was, that game type. So I hope they keep it around, and maybe they need to get less of Storm Point. So
Yeah, I agree. When we talked about it, just having an ability to have the people that's queuing pick the map, because you're already going to have people in the queue. I think majority win type situation is better than, this queued up thing where nobody wants to play on a certain map. It's fine to have those times when you can't, but it's definitely better to have time where people can choose where they play, because honestly there's been plenty of times where we had the opportunity to play Apex, but the map wasn't right and we just didn't want to play. So there's definitely some opportunity around allowing people to choose what maps they play, for sure. um Question for you. uh when you were, I guess, when you were playing, and when you were actually in the matches and things, and you were actually enjoying, or I guess when you're actually in the fights, did you, I guess, ratio wise, out feeling outmatched, or feeling in just in a bad place, or what was the ratio for that, like from feeling like somebody is just better, or someone just outplayed me? What was your ratio for that? I guess it's the same thing. Outplay ratio. I guess I'm looking for more so being outplayed and then something like weird happening within the game.
But yeah, they
So
got
you sound
lucky
like,
or they was just
oh, my
Yeah.
better than
bad.
you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So versus someone being better than you or something being lucky. What was the ratio for those two things?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm somebody who like really down to earth and really like rational and stuff like that. And I feel like most of the time I was outplayed. I mean, I say bad things happen and those I probably say maybe like, bad things is being sandwiched, getting hit by
Lag.
the rain, yeah, lag, all those sorts of things. I probably say like no more than 25% of the time. I think 75% of the time I was just outplayed and outdone. Like,
Mm.
I mean, like I said, Apex Wars. I mean, you shooting me from across the map. I don't even know how people shoot so far with the guns on that game. If I'm being completely honest with you, I mean, maybe that's a testament to my skill on that game because I can't do
No,
it.
I agree. I
Like
think that's ridiculous that they can have that type of accuracy from so far away. Um,
all the
eh,
guns kick. I mean,
yeah,
people got a lot of health in the game. Like you got to get through 100. At least 100, 200. You know what I'm saying? Because you got 100 of health, right, and then 100 of shields at minimum.
yep.
Is that right? Or fit? No, it's 50. It's 50.
It's
My
50.
bad.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
have
white one.
50 for the whites, 100 for the health, right? 150 total.
Yeah, so I feel like I get shot like 2 times and I'm down. I'll be like, dang, bro, I don't even know what gun you using. My helmet that week, y'all getting straight headshots. Like I'm kind of far away from you. I'm pretty sure y'all didn't have a sniper like a G7 scout. So I mean, I don't know what y'all hit me with. So
Yeah, no, it
yeah,
does feel like that. It does feel like you can get damaged and killed quickly. Um, but for me, yeah, it was mostly just being outplayed. It wasn't really a situation where I felt like there was a problem or somebody got lucky or ping wasn't right or delay in hits registering or something like that. It was like the first two matches I played that was like weird, but after that it was pretty straightforward and seamless. And one of the bigger things for me is um the key was for me to be able to get back in the game and just try again. And that was the requeuing and not having like disconnects. Because every time we used to go to the lobby, we would get separated from the party every time, and it was just so weird why that would happen. But obviously, when you're requeuing, it just doesn't happen. You just go back straight to the game. It's nothing, no real downtime, and that's really what helps people continue to play a game. Kind of similar to like you playing like a fighting game or something like that. If you got 3 minute downtimes every time you fight, you're not really getting the repetition in to kind of get better at it. But we playing like 6, 7 matches in 40 minutes. We playing even more than that, really. Um, it's kind of good to be able to for situational awareness and being able to kind of get better at it. So, do I want to play this game hardcore? Absolutely not. I don't think I have the in me anymore to play any game hardcore. But to the level or extent that we play Overwatch, I'm totally fine with that. I don't really have um to play with everybody like I used to. I like Loba, and I did that when I was playing it here. I was like, I played with everybody else, and I was like, I just don't feel like learning you guys no more. So I'm playing with Loba, the person I like, and that's it. So I'm on my Jalen now. I'm a Lifeline main, or I'm just a Loba main. I don't really want to play with anybody else. So that to that extent of like how I play the game being flipped and how they approach the game, where it's a little bit more streamlined, easier to understand. I think we can have fun playing in spurts. Obviously, it ain't for the long run though. But it does give me it gives me a little incentive to try to do like the little anniversary stuff that's going on. But I really don't want to get back to paying for nothing on that game right now. It just doesn't make sense because it's I feel like they are just egregious. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, man, I spent way too much money on this game. Even if it was like some way I could recoup some of it, it just is just like not worth it. So, yeah, But overall, paying for $15, game battle pass and playing through that like I would do on Overwatch, I have no problem with that. I think that is the level of care that it can earn with this mode and doing more of these types of right things, like when it's actually talking about moving stuff and streamlining like the crafting system, streamlining how we queue up, streamlining the errors and the ping and the issues with that, making stuff better for the game, and like making stuff more fun and less, you know, cumbersome. I think they were always good at that with Titanfall, and I feel like a lot of these changes brought it back to like a Titanfall esque feel where it's just fun to play and less of the bull crap surrounding it. I can just zone it out. So, but I would probably never play that battle royale again. Like the regular mode, probably not ever. I just don't feel like I have it in me to play 20, 30-minute games, 18-minute games like that, where most of the time you just running around and collecting stuff. Like it's not worth it. So yeah, but those are my like thoughts. Anything from you, Jalen? Anything lasting? Anything else outside of what we already discussed? JBZ.
No, I ain't got nothing else for real. I mean, like I said, it got some good music, so y'all should definitely tune in because of that.
Good goddamn music. Okay. Good goddamn music. But okay. Well, I'm still holding you to it, Josh. You still gotta play it at some point. It's still got.
I didn't play it while y'all was talking. It's straight. I ain't got none of that. It's Apex with Monster. But yeah, I gotta play with y'all. I wanted to play it, but y'all be texting me at 1 a.m. and I ain't getting up. So
No, that's facts. But okay, let's switch over to probably the bigger topic of the week, and that's the Xbox game plan. Xbox finally pulled the mystery out. Scooby Doo solved the mystery. I don't know what the heck was going on with the internet for the last week, but they felt like Xbox was going to be doing something crazy. I thought it made the most sense, and I still do. I honestly don't care for exclusivity, but I understand them holding a brand, and that's what my thoughts were last week, was that essentially none of the main focused Xbox brands are going anywhere, like Gears, Forza, it's Gears, it's Gears, Halo, Forza, and like another game, but those were, I didn't think they were going nowhere. Like a Fable, I didn't think they were going anywhere, but I thought that they were going to start putting like the Bethesda games. So I did count Starfield in that, but they pay too much for it to be exclusive. I guess they want to keep it that way, which is fine. But I thought because they were already making one, they probably would be an easy pushover. Bethesda keeps their same, platform type of distribution, and same thing with Activision. And then Xbox would keep their stuff in house. And I said, and that was my question I posed to you guys: would it be sufficient enough if they just use their Microsoft Studios to keep the Xbox brand going? I still think I think that's possible, honestly. With the newer games coming out, with stuff like Fable coming down the line. I'm trying to think of the game that's coming out. It's the clock game. Dang, I can't remember the name now. But it's kind of got that Bioshock-esque vibe.
It's the other one, yeah. It's the steampunk one.
Yeah, the steampunk one. So there's plenty of stuff that's coming down the line that I feel like Xbox can hold on to make people want to play. Their next gear is probably going to be something crazy if they put in the effort and time to kind of revamp that story or revamp the way it's played, because there's nothing about the gameplay that's bad. it's literally that it's just not high budget enough for people to bring you in closer, get those real cutscenes and all that crap. I think the production value on Gears 5 was top notch to the point where they couldn't do much better. But I still feel like everybody felt as if it fell into that game category and not a experience. And that's kind of how I kind of started defining what Uncharted is versus a Gears, because that's an experience. This is a game. So yeah, I think with their catalog now, they could feed the Xbox brand and still keep going. There's plenty of stuff that's coming out down the pipe that people would want to play. Perfect Dark Zero, all that stuff could still, in my opinion, help the brand. But it's not about what I thought. It was what was said. And Phil, good old Phil, he he just made it. He made it just as he didn't make it better, but he didn't make it worse either. I don't know why he didn't want to name the 4 games. So basically, they had a podcast like interview esque thing where they talked about all of the stuff that was going on, exclusivity, hardware. They were talking about how they want what Xbox is, what it truly means to be on the Xbox platform, Game Pass numbers, and they kind of fudged it a little bit because they added in the Xbox Game Pass core, but 34 million people are on the Xbox Game Pass, and that's a pretty significant jump from the last discussion that they talked about the numbers. But again, they are counting in Xbox Game Pass core, and that is basically their Xbox Live Gold subscription being transferred over to that. So, so yeah. There was a lot of updates. Any highlights before I get into my feel bag? Any highlights that y'all thought?
Yeah, it was. So they announced a couple things in the thing, but I'm not gonna go and cover those yet. But he didn't want to mention the games, and I think that's because of how closely we were to the Nintendo Direct. It's on the February 21st, which is tomorrow for y'all. There's a Nintendo Direct, and that's probably where we're gonna see some of those first Xbox announcements, like whether it's Hi-Fi Rush or whatever. But I think the him outlining like the games are over 2 years old. Some of them are community focused, like Sea of Thieves, or smaller games.
Mm-hmm.
It made it pretty clear that yeah, it's not Halo, it's not Gears, it's not Starfield, it's not the bigger titles, because those are, I guess, too closely tied to the brand, and right now they don't want to put everything out there on everything else. So I'm personally okay with. I don't see a issue with putting it, like those type of games on other systems, especially like multiplayer community games like Sea of Thieves, where it's like the whole point of the game is to get more people playing and constantly playing, and limiting that to Xbox is not going to help those type of games grow.
Right.
So far it's still in line what they've been doing the last couple of years, where they put Minecraft on something else, and then the Minecraft spin-offs or other smaller titles. So yeah, that so far was cool, but he had some other stuff to say, and then Sarah Bombs talking about what they got planned next. But yeah,
That was the big
I
highlight.
say the biggest, the big highlight for me is I don't remember if it was out of the podcast directly or was like interviews later, where they were saying that eventually they want to have where your purchases on Xbox follow you across any device, and which they were clarifying is like, well, we eventually we want you to be able to play any game that you own anywhere. So whether it's xCloud, or if you can, the game gets put on PC later and it's not on PC now, but it gets on PC later, you would have access to it or something like that. So them constantly thinking forward about your purchases and it continuing, and there's no like gray area where it's like, oh, maybe I get this version of the game or not. it's always cool and consumer friendly. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, something that's not been confirmed, but it definitely was like getting a lot of traction online, at least on X, was that Xbox Cloud Gaming was going to start allowing you to play all your games that you own,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was pretty insane. Um, because that's just like Nvidia that they make you pay a lot of money for to do your Steam library, and I don't think they let you do every game. I don't even know, but
No, some games are. I don't think it's up to Nvidia, but some games are blocked on it.
yeah, but Xbox owning it, having the license and everything, they're not a third party. That would be a game changer in regards to them not being able to compete at all. It'll be a definite win for me when it comes to just being able to pick up and go wherever cloud gaming is. That is essentially what he's talking about right there, where you can take your gaming anywhere you want to go, and anytime you have internet service and access, your license is there and available for you. It's basically Stadia, um, and I would love for that feature to be available to me. So I would love to my TV to be able to run games uh like when I don't want to take my system downstairs, or if I got family over and I'm having this single player experience on my little monitor, but when I want to take it to a big screen, we can do it down there. Like that is so significantly, that would make me want to buy all my games on Xbox on their platform. Even though I don't like their Windows app right now, yeah, make me want to buy it all from there, because that would just open up so much more. Like, yeah, Steam has something like that. It doesn't work well for me. I know that cloud gaming would probably have the understanding and wherewithal to kind of make that stuff run well. And I think Steam Link was very much so walk so we can run type situation. But it doesn't need your server. It doesn't need your console. It it literally can just do it. And I don't know how it's gonna work yet, so I don't I don't know how it's gonna work, so don't hold me to it. But and honestly, it's just a rumor. But that is what makes sense to me. That is what will make that would define Xbox. That would define it for me in the future. Like I don't have to think about it. I know if I buy it on this console or if I buy it on this platform, it's gonna be where I go. So, um, yeah, that's why I was interested in getting the Windows the device, because I was like, man, that'd be a real game changer for me. Actually, I could really just, yeah, I'm still gonna be working with the cloud in this in for the initial instances, but it would feel like they're actually dedicating something to it, and it doesn't feel as disjointed as it does now, where some things are, because it's in Game Pass it works, but other things that's not in Game Pass don't. Like that just doesn't feel like a unified experience where I would put some money behind yet. But when they do that, these are features that can't be matched, and this is what will define Xbox. So I think that they are on the right path, even though we don't like some of the decisions that they're making. I just think they just have a bad thing with the public relations. But again, this ain't been confirmed, so let me stop talking about it like it is. Then Phil talked about um what did Phil talk about? Phil just had a lot of spin stuff for me. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't feel like I was watching someone that he was direct in some areas, but then he just wasn't direct in others. And I didn't see the reason why. But he did lay out the plan as you stated, Josh. He talked about it. He told us what is coming. He kept saying that these games are not coming, Starfield, Indiana Jones. But then later in that Verge interview, he kind of said there's no reason why we should pigeonhole ourselves into not bringing those games. So it is or it isn't. And I think that he's very much so in the belief that you ain't gonna get me caught up and saying that I can't when we change our mind 3-4 years from now. Like, it's fine. I really wish they had a very clear statement. These games may come, but if they do come, they'll be 18 months after. Like something I can solidify me and saying, okay, that is going to help me with my purchases in the future, and not say, well, the PS5 might get it in a year. They might get it in 6 months. So might as well buy the one system, because again, I wouldn't want to buy my Xbox games on that system if it's not a part of the ecosystem that they're building where I can run all my cloud gaming. Like, I don't know, but that would make sense for them to still allow Nintendo and PlayStation to tap into their ecosystem when it comes to cloud gaming and putting them on their platforms. Not Game Pass, just cloud gaming. So, I don't know. I really want to give them the benefit of the doubt in regards to their ability to make it right, because I feel like they have made a lot of decisions that other people aren't making to make the system better, like cross save, like cross play, and just having uniformity between PC and Xbox in regards to day one releases. All that stuff helps me with my purchasing decision to always want to back them for my games, because I know I'm gonna have it somewhere where it's never gonna go away, because I feel like PC gaming is just embedded in the Windows system, and they've been dedicating themselves to supporting all these games that ever been released, and they still haven't dropped one. Just think about that. All these games that ever released on this Steam, and none of them has been dropped to the point where you can't run it. I don't know if I take that back, but there's a very large library of games that still run and operate on Windows 11. To have that type of compatibility or dedication, is kind of takes a lot of people to be behind it and support it, right? So I don't feel like they would ever do that they would not like pull that from us on the Xbox side, when they're literally a PC based company, software based company. Why would you want to not let people have their software forever? Doesn't make sense. So I will always be able to back them in regards to purchases and all that stuff, because I feel like that is literally their motivation. But yeah, he talked about that. He didn't make a definitive statement, so it just felt like he was spinning. Sarah Bond got up there, told everybody that they was gonna be able to play. I feel like they just doing too much now, but it did stick out to me. I was like, dang, everybody getting Diablo? No, not everybody. Everybody with Game Pass Ultimate. So they announced that Diablo 4, one of the Activision games, and they said a lot of them are coming. So just be prepared for that. But in March, you're getting Diablo 4, which was a big one. Yeah, I'm assuming at that point you're gonna play it, Josh. Probably not. I don't think it was.
It's on Game Pass. I wanted to play it. It's just it didn't. It's an online game, and it was it was full price, and I didn't have the time to invest into it.
Yeah.
But again, with it being on Game Pass, that removes all barriers to entry. I could just try it if I want to play it like an hour today, and then drop it for 2 weeks. I won't feel bad about it because I didn't spend $70.
Exactly. So it does release that feeling of like buyer's remorse for sure. But it still doesn't give you the time back, and I think the time is what is key. If you can solve my time problems, Xbox, I think you'll have me forever. Like, obviously, PlayStation want my time. They want me to sit in front of a TV. They want me to play a game in that way. I just don't do it. I just feel like I don't have the time no more. So I want my game to come with me. Obviously, their idea of a solution was the PlayStation Portal. That ain't no solution for me. I feel like that is just a sidestep to what the real issue is. The real issue is that you guys are a little too much closed off, in my opinion. I think you should have some other ways to kind of work that, and that's why I use my Steam Deck, because I do have the ability to do remote play using some Android plugin Proton stuff. So I work it that way. It's fine. It works, but they're a little too closed off. I think having that option in between, again, for Xbox is beneficial. I understand that they want that Windows to be better, so make it better. Make it to a point where it feels like an actual system that is friendly to someone that wants to use it that way. Um, but yeah, back to the other points. Diablo 4, Activision, games coming to Game Pass. Um, are we at a point now where the value of Game Pass doesn't matter? That's one of my questions. Like they're just adding a ton of value, but does it matter to you? Like to an extent
Uh,
where I'm saying like I I I, I don't think it's doing anything for selling the platform anymore. What do you think?
Oh well, yeah. That I think that's their biggest problem. Where Game Pass is so good value that they've kind of peaked at what they can do. Because if you think about it, as a consumer, I give them my money, whatever I pay for my subscription, and that's it. They don't get no more money from me. I'm a sole customer. I'm a satisfied customer, and that's it. But
Mm,
you also want to create a demand in your customers so that they want to come back. They want to spend more. And I think that when you see games that, oh, we have the $60 version, but we also have the $90 deluxe edition and the $120 full ultra edition, and people will buy the ultra edition if they feel like they have the extra money and they think the value is worth it. But Game Pass doesn't have those type of tiers really. Either you spend $9, $12, or $15. And if you're spending $15, then that's it. I don't buy any other physical games. I usually don't buy DLC. At least for Game Pass games, I don't buy DLC.
mm.
I know that some people do, but
First one was Starfield for
th-
me.
yeah, but I think that's kind of an issue where they box themselves in, where they give in too much value up front and they can't get any extra money out of the customer. And Phil kind of touched on that. It wasn't exactly related, but he talked about how where the industry is going right now. Costs are getting high, and there's only two real ways that you can take your business to continue to be profitable. You can go with your existing customers. We got 30 million customers. How do we get more money out of them? Simply raise the price or sell them more, sell more content to the same customers. So increase the price of games, microtransactions, things like that. So your existing base is going to keep growing because they're spending more money. But that has its own limit, and people might or will react negatively if you charging too much. And the other way is to branch out and find new customers. And right now, the only way that Game Pass can get well, not even Game Pass, because my bad. I'll touch on Game Pass in a second. But Xbox is going to expand to other platforms, PlayStation and Xbox, because they both have huge player bases, and they can get
Mm,
extra money from those people who are not in the Xbox ecosystem. However, with
mm,
Game Pass, they've also reached as many people as possible. Well, not as many people as possible. They've already maxed out the number of devices Game Pass can be on. It's on Xbox, it's on PC, and you can play xCloud on um,
mobile.
mobile. But Game Pass is never going to be on PlayStation. Game Pass is never going to be on Nintendo Switch. And so if PC players are not buying Game Pass in droves and people are not buying Xboxes for Game Pass, the Game Pass is never going to grow because we've already put it out there to everybody and they're not adopting it quickly.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the issue that they're in. Game Pass is good value, so they're not getting enough money from the Xbox players, and it's not really growing as fast as it
Needs
needs to
to.
be. Yeah,
So, are we in agreement that Xbox itself is broke or no?
it's broke.
I wouldn't
Like
call them
they're
broke, but they're not profitable.
you mean like, oh, not profitable. I don't know. I think that I think Microsoft is pretty like stringent with being profitable. I think that Xbox is in a place where they're losing leeway. So like if they're breaking even, that's not looking good for them. And Phil is trying his best to make sure that they're staying in the green. So at least we weren't reaching our huge targets, but we're profitable. I think that's where they are.
Hmm.
I don't know where the money is coming from. I'm not a business person, but I feel like if they're constantly in a negative or constantly breaking even, then we would start seeing a lot more guts to Xbox as like as a whole. More
Yeah.
layoffs, more features getting cut, discontinuation of devices and stuff like that. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot of that, at least, except for layoffs. Layoffs have been showing up. But yeah, I think they're in dire straits, and they want to get in the green and stay in the green, um, for sure. Whereas like PlayStation, they're barely in the green, probably not even. But they're in a different situation where they don't have like Microsoft over their heads. Like if you don't make money, we gonna get you. So,
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with that. I think this visceral reaction to what they were doing, as in Xbox is broke, is a little out of date. But those Game Pass numbers did tell me that um they're not in a super profitable state. And they're doing everything they can, as you stated, to kind of make sure that they are staying above water. Um, and if they want to continue to support the type of games they want to make, they have to do something different. They can't continue to like put all their eggs in like the Halo and the Gears basket. They're just not going to work. You have to kind of continue to grow all things at all times and not just focus in on single player experiences to kind of that's really only to strengthen the brand. It's not really to grow profit. And I think they're in a growth mode. Well, always in a growth mode, but they're in a more so a growth mode now to sustain the type of service and capabilities they have already positioned, and then continue to push those positions and those services further. Because there's no reason why they couldn't have in some way already set up the servers to allow us to stream our own games. I think it's just not right now. It's not a profitable look for them, and how they want to roll that out either. So, I think having the success they have in the other spaces will allow them to continue to expand in the other places. Um, so they need to do certain things, and these little 4 games was blown out of proportion significantly. In my opinion, I think the big thing that take away here is that the number of Game Pass subscribers, and that they're still going to go and put Activision on on the Game Pass. And obviously they're not going to put the day and date. I don't. It wouldn't make sense, but they just if they got a lot of money, they got a lot of money. It wouldn't make sense for them to put Call of Duty on there same day, but it would take a significant blow to PlayStation. And I don't know if
mhm.
they're in a position right now to just leverage it like that, but maybe they are. Maybe they just don't care, because it could definitely shift it back to their favor in a very quick way. Over like 2 years of just Call of Duty coming out on Game Pass day one, why wouldn't you own an Xbox at that point? Because you're going to save money regardless if you don't play that game or not. But if you do play that game and there's other games being added into it, like Persona, like something that's been directly associated with the PlayStation brand, even all of us playing on Xbox right now is a crazy thing to say. It's just like they can keep doing that to a point where it just hurts them, you know? So, and not just hurt PlayStation, but hurt themselves. And that's what I think is kind of ridiculous. I feel like it doesn't make sense to do it, but I mean, they could. And that's why I was saying,
Yeah.
like, has the value become so big that it just doesn't matter at this point? Um, but
Yeah, it might not matter, but also I think that they've kind of been playing it too safe and not like aggressive enough, especially since they spent so much money on Activision
yeah,
that the next Call of Duty it's gonna sell regardless. But having it day one on Game Pass is a big flex for the brand, because if you're interested, like, last year we were all interested in like trying Call of Duty, but maybe not spending the money on it. But it's like, if it's on Game Pass, we can just get it, and that it immediately is gonna, boost their numbers, whatever. And Call of Duty always breaks records. But anybody that stays, they can play it for free. Technically, they can spend money on microtransactions, and Call of Duty is always microtransaction ridden. So it's like, why
Yeah,
not
this
do
is
it?
that's the
Like,
only game that's getting away with it, like for real, for real. To the point where you can buy the game and still do well, and then they get you on top of that with other stuff, and they success. Oh no, I take that back. 2K got plenty of them, and
yeah,
EA
two,
got one.
mhm.
Um, so and then we used to have the FIFA and all that stuff too, but it's really sports and then one shooter. That's insane to me. But yeah. Um, but yeah. Okay. Continue. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Yeah, but no, that's all. That Xbox people are not confident in the brand. Like, people don't think well of the brand, and they need to leverage what strength they have. I think that they've been playing the underdog for a long time, and partly, that's beneficial because you can kind of like take your time and grow. But at the same time, if they want to be in growth mode, they want to be profitable, they want to catch up. They got to be more aggressive with stuff. So I think, yeah, just put your uh strong titles in Game Pass, and I don't see why it wouldn't grow then if you have Diablo and Overwatch, whatever, three, all dropping in Game Pass. Then yeah, why not? Why wouldn't people get it? At least to try it, you know.
Yeah. And even having like their windows and all that stuff, it's like it's all feeding these guys, man. They don't care about nothing. So yeah, when I look at it from a viewpoint, I always can see where Xbox can literally, not Xbox, but Microsoft. Stop. I wish I don't really like saying Xbox because it's not that. It's Microsoft could really significantly take a lot of money out of their own sales, but also hindering their competition in a large way. Um, but you know, Friendly Phil, he still ain't said nothing about it. Like day and date, Activision games would have been a huge blow. That would made this podcast or this interview have purpose. Like none of this stuff had purpose to me. All of this felt like it could have been said in a tweet. Like, bro, we not doing all our games. We only doing four. Y'all got Diablo coming in March. We're gonna start bringing that stuff over. Like that is the significant stuff to me. Like I didn't really find the whole conversation to matter. Um, and I felt like yeah, this could have been fixed a long time ago. I don't know what they were like doing to make them feel as if they needed to address it all like this. Because a lot wasn't said. Um, in my opinion, it wasn't. So and they gave us some Game Pass numbers, but that wasn't like something we were even thinking we was going to have. So they could have did all of this in a tweet, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't really see nothing else that came out of it that I felt like, oh wow, I'm getting some more I'm getting enlightening on their process and what they're thinking. I mean, she did make Sarah, I think, mention they're working on the biggest leap in their hardware technology and all that stuff, but um yeah, you got to have a reason to want to jump onto the brand. And if you're not going to announce the cloud gaming thing, you're not announcing day in day out Activision games. I don't really like those are your heavy hitters. Um I mean, we already know you got games coming, but people still think that they lacking in some regard. I don't know how. They still think that they don't have games. Like I really don't get that. I think there's plenty of stuff to be excited about. Plenty of stuff that already came out, and uh, yeah, it's just plenty more to come. So um, I think June would tell a better story for them, but um, outside of that, this, like I said, could have all been a tweet. Any thoughts? Any wrapping thoughts on this before we move on?
They've said that they're committed to the hardware still. We have to wait and see what that's like. But they're gonna work on another Xbox, whether it's the same generation or if it's a next gen one. But they're more thinking of the hardware as like we're gonna tailor a special type of hardware. This one's gonna have two screens or something like that, and the hardware is gonna be weird. But uh, that specialized hardware is gonna be for people who are specifically looking for that. They're no longer, or at least it seems like they're no longer gonna try to make one device that is capable of like. They're not gonna focus on one device that can do everything.
Yeah.
They want multiple devices to serve multiple needs. So like the Series S is for people who just want to play it, but not spend a lot of money on the console and it's only digital. So we're gonna see more stuff like the Series S in the future, which I think is more like the Microsoft way, more like a PC way where there are different PCs to serve different needs, and I think that could be useful. I'm interested to see how they actually approach it, but
Yeah.
yeah. Other than that, yeah, it was a pretty straightforward podcast. Not actually a lot revealed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then. Well, let's move into Persona 3. I know I had some thoughts, but I'm gonna let one of y'all lead off in regards
Well, yeah,
to.
I'll
Oh, go ahead.
ask y'all how y'all feel because like we've all played Persona 5. I think we all
Yep.
tried Persona 4. I don't think
Yep.
everybody finished it. And then Persona 3, it's different, it's older. But so where are y'all in the game like right now?
I'm specifically on August 20th, and I am just finishing up fighting like the fifth enemy or
Well,
sixth. I think I got four left. I think that's where I'm
mhm,
at, or something like that.
mhm.
And yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. We're in regards to just coming back from summer break, having the beach scenes, which is funny. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
And so how are you feeling about I guess the game so far as compared to I guess the other Persona games?
Um, I don't know. I kind of was leaning towards um that it's more straightforward to me, and I don't know why, but Jalen kind of was trying to remind me of all the mechanics in 5, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how everything used to work, but I think I got a better grasp on this one to me. Um,
Mhm,
and I have a better understanding of just holding on to certain I like even like, and maybe it's just I have more of a heightened understanding of the games now. Like even holding the cards that you're going to be talking to the social links to help with like gaining. I don't know if that was something that was in the old ones or not. I mean, or in the other ones or not. I just remember not ever thinking about it, and I'm like, this
mhm,
actually helps me get this stuff higher, faster, blah blah blah. Like I'm actually thinking of the mechanics before I make moves. I'm actually thinking about my day and how it makes sense to do this, and like I'm looking at other stuff to try to figure out what's the best way to grain your academic stuff like that. So I just didn't engage in any of that in the other ones, and maybe that's just my understanding of the lack of understanding of the game before. But I did play 4 Golden and then play 5, so I would think I would have got some grasp of it.
mhm.
But yeah, I'm just having more fun with the mechanics of the game than I am with the story right now.
Mhm.
Um, and that's, I guess it's not because I am now at a point where I'm zoning out when they start talking, and that's not good because that means I'm not engaged in what's happening next, and I don't want to see what's happening next. I do that a lot for the social links, especially people I don't care about, but I never did that for the story. I did that for the story like 2 nights ago. And I was like, oh shoot, let me remember. Let me start to pay attention again. So, um, but yeah, so that was
Now,
something that
do you feel like that's because it's too similar to like other stories, or it's not uh exciting? Like it's just too um
I feel like it's a lack
standard?
of reveal. Well, let me let Jalen weigh in a little bit. Jalen, what do you think about uh Persona 3 right now? And then first, well, at least first say where you at, and then say how you feel.
So I just beat the second boss. I'm on like June 9th or something like that. Um,
Second boss. Okay.
yeah.
You took your
I
exams
mean,
already, right?
yeah,
First exams. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I'm just plowing through the story. I mean, I'm not that far. I probably got about like 12 hours in a game or something like that.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know, man. Like, so okay, so Persona 4 is the first one I played. Didn't really fully understand the grasp of it. Didn't realize it had like a Pokemon-esque type situation going on with the, personas and stuff like that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I played Persona 5, got more deep into it. I remember that phase where I was just waking up in the morning playing Persona 5, like, yeah, woo, 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 like, probably like back in 2017. I started understanding a lot of the mechanics and stuff like you had mentioned about if you possess a certain persona, which you like the arcana, that can help boost the social link faster. Then I started figuring out that if you answer the questions correctly, that can boost it faster. And there's invisible stuff that they don't tell you. When you get your experience in the battles and stuff like that, they divide it up and they do some other calculation that, depending on what level you at compared to the people you fighting, they taper off some of the experience you get. So I started understanding all these different things playing Persona 5. Going into Persona 3, I got a lot of these things. They start opening up things to you. I start figuring out that is where you see what other people are doing. You got other social links that you can get to, but you just don't know. So you look on the thing, you buy such and such, have hang out with this person. You like, hey, I didn't even know you can talk to this person yet. So it's like it's a lot of expansion and stuff like that. Um, as far as like me with the story right now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the most intrigued by the story right now. I feel like it's dragging out. And maybe Persona 5 dragged out a little bit too, but I feel like it's a little bit more mystery. It came a little bit quicker with the story.
Hmm.
And I feel like the gameplay I mean, this Persona 3 we talking. I mean, we talking about two games down the line, you got Persona 5. So I feel like the gameplay is a little bit more interesting in Persona 5 personally. Just the progression of things, just all that type of stuff. I do like some of the bosses in this game because it don't seem like you can just kind of just go at them. Like the second boss, I mean, they over here switching up their statuses and all that
Oh
type of
yeah.
stuff. And I mean, that's interesting. And I will say some of the bosses or enemies that you fought on Persona 3, they start having resistances and things, not resistances, but actually blocking things out a little bit sooner, I felt like, than Persona 5 did. So I feel like the game maybe just be a tad bit more difficult than Persona 5, if I'm being honest with you, so far at least.
Hmm.
I don't know how much it's gonna taper out or if it's gonna get harder and harder and stuff like that.
Oh, it gets
Um,
harder for sure.
so yeah. I feel like I started really running the challenges on Persona 5 probably like during maybe like the fourth or fifth dungeon, if I'm being honest with you. But
Mm.
I think with the story, Persona 5 kept me a little bit more interested because like there's are active things going on within the world that is affecting the dungeon that you're actively trying to infiltrate. So it's like, they buy, all right, we need to go see what Kamashiro on because he doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, Kamashiro did this. Maybe it'd be a good time to go into a dungeon and see how things change, this, that, and the third. Then you had two dungeons. You have Mementos. I mean, I think Tartarus is better than Mementos personally. But then they had their main dungeon. The main dungeon was kind of interesting or whatever. So I'm like, all right, bet. Um, so I'm like, okay, that gives me there's active things that's going on day by day that affects us versus like again, this is me at the beginning of the game. I went in Tartarus. I did everything I can in Tartarus. I literally got the Nelly on my team with the band-aid on his face. and that loves his strength. I don't know what's wrong with this dude. Hey, you seen when he was doing them squats and he was shaking? He like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just they're like, why you sweat? I'm like, bro, this dude tweaking, man. But anyway, like I'm like, this dude really crazy. But literally I was fighting this little relic or something, and it was like, you should just wait till you get bro on your team. I get him on my team. I go back in there and fight it. So now I ain't got to go into. I ain't been in. I literally went to Tartarus the day he came on my team on May 24th, and I ain't go back into Tartarus until they forced me to go back in there on May 9th or June 9th. So it's like a lot of days where I was just kind of like, man, it ain't nothing exciting happening. They started pointing towards things and stuff like that, and it's just giving spoilers and stuff like that. I mean, it ain't really spoilers the game been out, but then things started picking up like, oh, this girl been bullied. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, all right, finally something picking up. I just felt like Persona 5 had more things going on. And the
Yeah.
world on Persona 5 was just a lot better than Persona 3. I'm just speaking thus far, like the places you can go, the activities you can do. If you want to go to the batting cages, if you want to go do this, I feel like it was a lot more. And again, this is a successor of Persona 3. And I was
Yeah.
heavily invested in Persona 5. I think Persona 3 does some things better, but it's just not like Tartarus is cool for what it is and stuff like that. It's better than Mementos, but I don't think it's better than those specialized dungeons that other people had. And it could get a little annoying because some days you get kicked out of the dungeon because you can't do something. You need to go do something in the real world to go affect this thing, which is more story driven things versus like me going from May 24th or really, if I'm being honest, yeah, we can just say May 24th because that's when bro get back on the team all the way up to June 9th, I was literally like, bro, I'm just going through these stories, talking about social only. So I got one of them at rank 10 already. And it's just like, I'm not saying the game bad or anything like that. It's just some things I
Yeah.
feel like
It's
it could just be a lot more
it
interesting.
has a
Like,
lot more space for improvement, and yeah, I think that that's fair because like the interesting part of 5 was that they made the story about the people, like your teachers and people around the world, so that there's always something interesting going on. Like we want to get into Kamoshida's palace because he's actively hurting people in the school, and like we can see him every day in the school when when we're not in the dungeon, so that makes it like you want to fix the problem because you can see the problem. Whereas like Persona 3, you can't necessarily see the problem. Like you might hear, oh, like, it's a girl
apathy
in the
syndrome.
school. Yeah, yeah. It's more in the background. And then the daytime stuff is like, don't think about the personas, don't think about the shadows, just go to school, hang out with your friends. And it's like it's kind of completely separate. And then later, it starts overlapping and now you can't ignore it anymore or something like that. Whereas like 4, that was one of the changes that they tried to make, where it's like we want you to enjoy your daily life, but also you kind of can't ignore it because kids are dying and people are coming up dead around town. But it
Yeah.
was still, some downtime in that as well, where you're just hanging out. Whereas like 5, yeah, they did a much better job of completely marrying those two ideas. Well, the problem is in your daily life. Like you can still be a student, but you can't completely ignore the issues, except
And it,
for mementos, which came at the very end of the game.
yeah, and they're like, and two things on that, like certain events will happen in the story, but all right, this the point of like, all right, well, you need to go get to this end of this dungeon by like you got 14 days left. Like you got those sorts of things, and
Mhm.
you like, all right, well, that's in my head. Let me try to space how I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Persona 3, you can kind of do the same thing if you remember when a full moon and stuff come like that. The other aspect is on you can talk to Elizabeth. I think that's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She got tasks and stuff that you can do or whatever, but I don't feel like those tasks as robust as the ones when you take care of things in Mementos. So they giving me more reason to go to Mementos and go fight people and fight bosses or little mini bosses and doing tasks and stuff. I'm not saying they're fun. I'm not saying they're robust, like really robust or anything like that.
yeah,
I
but
mean, if
she
you
gave you
literally go in there,
as to do in mementos and a reason to go. Whereas like you can do those in
yeah,
Tartarus, but they're a lot more simple.
yeah, they like
Kill
go
this
hit
this
200
shadow.
chests.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, and I'm not saying like people's stories, even sometimes you have to go in there and then you have to leave back out. and then go. I ain't gonna. I don't remember if you got to get an item or something like that. Then you got to go back in and actually go beat this person. So it's like little parts of quests and stuff. But again, it's engaging you into the persona part of fighting because I feel like it was a little bit boring to go through, 15 days of not fighting or doing anything, and I'm just literally just like, all right, well, I ain't really got much else to do. Let me go work in a coffee shop. All right, well, I need to go get my charm up. I keep trying to get my charm up to go talk to this dude so I can start his quests and stuff like that. And I'm just picking, little side quests to do, and I don't really have any. I'm not compelled to do
Yeah,
anything.
it's a lot
And then
more.
in five,
My bad. It's a lot more time where you're blind. Whereas like Persona 5, like I want to go out, but Morgana won't let me go out. Whereas like I want to go out, but I don't know what to do because there's not anything to do. Because a lot of stuff unlocks later. Like you might see like a lot of buildings was like, oh, this opens on June 5th or something like that.
Yeah.
So whereas a lot of stuff that's time gated, whereas like by the end of the game, oh yeah, you got a bunch of stuff to do now. But like early on, yeah, it's not
It's
anything to
not
do.
really much to do.
On
And
the
then
five, there was always something to do, but you couldn't do it. So it made you want to do more because like, oh, I'm finally free from Morgana, so let me go spend my time, best I can.
yeah, and
yeah,
um I think there's a little bit of just your first experience sometimes being your best experience with Persona games because it's like a renew fresh
Mm.
idea type situation. And Persona 4 was my favorite simply because of that. Even though I understood Persona 5 more to a degree of like what Jalen was talking about, but now I understand this one even further. Like I treated Persona 4 like a game to play, not to engage in like the mechanics of it. Honestly, I just played it because of the story. I thought it was good. And then 5, I did the same, but I didn't think the story was better than 4. So then I just I didn't like it. And I wasn't playing it to the point where I was doing all the min-maxing to make the game easier for myself. So it became harder and harder. And at that point, I wasn't enjoying it because I wasn't doing the things to lead up to be able to succeed at the end. Um, and I was like, bro, this is just boring at this point. I don't want to do this. So I stopped and I didn't beat that game. Yeah, I know I didn't beat it, but because I got to Mementos and I was like, I'm done with this. So with this one, I am using everything I learned from the previous games, and I am treating it like it's technically my first experience with playing with all this stuff, and like this is my first time looking up stuff. Like I didn't look up stuff before. I didn't look up. Only thing I looked up was the answers to like things, but now I'm looking up. Okay, why would this be better? Okay, if I'm spending most of my time here because there's literally it's streamlined to a point where I can just think about those things. And I think Persona 5 was throwing a lot at me story wise to keep me engaged, but it wasn't, and it was distracting me from like the other stuff that's part of it, a part of that experience. Persona 4 didn't feel that way. It just felt like it was a decent story, and there was some like mechanics about it. And the social link stuff wasn't really about me getting better personas. It was about me wanting to actually talk to these engaging people. This is totally opposite. I don't want to talk to them, most of them anyway. And that's how I feel about it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that we probably got some tinted rose glasses on the first one we ever played because it was just like a new experience too. At least played to a degree that we understood it. Like this one still feels like more fun to me than Persona 5, even though probably Persona 5 was a better game, simply because I understand what's happening and I
Mhm.
like engaging with the mechanics a lot more than I thought I would. And that's why I said I'm starting to remember why I like the game, and then I'm starting to even delve deeper into it. But that's probably not y'all experience. Obviously, I probably knew what was y'all was getting into with this one, but I'm just saying that could be a part of why we like certain ones because Persona 4 is still my favorite, and
Yeah.
you know,
No, and I think that's true. The games are, weird where they're all enjoyable, but you can see a clear progression where there's some improvements in some games.
mm-hmm,
But there's also each game has their own strengths. Like I think a lot of people will agree, like the cast in Persona 4 is kind of like the most like vibrant. Like they all have different personalities, but then you quickly come up with like their issues. Where like Kanji, like he's struggling with like masculinity and sexuality, so like you have a clear picture of like what that character is.
Yeah.
Whereas like Persona 3, everybody's more like simple. Like they have their issues, but if the social link issue is gonna come up much later, like somebody's not gonna tell you I'm struggling with my sexuality early in the social link. You're gonna get that much later, like when you're almost max level, and then you're gonna really discover what's going on with them. So it's like everybody's as not as memorable in that sense.
Yeah.
There are some really good social links in 3, but either the reveals or the big connection comes later, or maybe the social link is just not that interesting. Like I don't remember like the basketball team social link in 3 because I don't know if there's anything interesting in that social link, for example.
No,
But in
I think I'm
3,
doing
4,
like
and
the
5. Mhm.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you my
I
bad.
was
So
just saying like
you,
some examples of the ones I don't like, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I just leave it. But go ahead.
I mean, you don't have to, I guess, spoil it, but you can say you don't like it. Um,
Right now I don't like I don't like the chunky kid, the food guy, Gourmet King. I don't really like
Uh,
I don't really like Track King. I mean the track guy.
mhm.
He's fine, but I don't like him. I actually did like the magician's ones a little bit because he was just delusional, and it was just funny watching him be delusional. Um,
yeah, I completed his.
yeah, he was just delusional, man. I was like, bro, you're super delusional, and I was like, I don't like this game's like. I don't like how they make you say stuff and reward you for saying things you wouldn't say in real life. Like, no, I would not feed into your idiocracy. Like, no, I'm not feeding you,
Mhm.
but they want you to in order to be like. That's where I have a disconnect because I didn't do that before. I just said what I felt when I was playing Persona 4, and I didn't care because I wasn't looking it up. But now I'm looking it up and I'm like, bro, why would I want to say that though? That's stupid. But I have to say it because that's how you progress it and all that stuff. So I guess it is taking me away from my true feelings about the game because it's making me feel like I'm just playing into these people's biases and thoughts when I'm truly don't feel that way. Like, yeah, I get the girl from Mako, or Michael, I don't know how to say her name, but the kid. I get her story, and I think most of the time when she's saying something, I'm agreeing with what they pick as the like big one. But
Mhm.
like, there's other ones where I'm just like, bro, I'm fast forwarding it and I'm just hitting the button. Like, I'm not listening to you talk. I don't want to talk to you no more. So it's like it's disconnecting me from the like I used to let people talk and hear them out and like, okay, what should I say right here? But now I'm not because I am looking up stuff, and I think that is taking away a little bit of the experience of playing a Persona game to me, anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, so those are
Um,
some of the ones I don't like.
I could see
yeah,
that.
and
I
there's
mean,
always gonna be some bad ones. But like, what
Yeah.
about you, Jalen? Is there anybody y'all don't like, or what about the, I guess, main characters too? Anybody y'all don't like?
um, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. So far, the Persona games, I mean, at least the first couple people you get, they trophy. They really the same people. If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, they're the same in every
June.
game.
Yeah,
Junpei is the same as Ryuji. Is the same as his what's the name from 4?
Hmm. I think his name
yeah.
was
So I mean,
shoot, I can't remember his name now.
I can start
Yosuke or
with a
something
K.
like
Yeah,
Yeah, Yosuke. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I mean, like the social links. I wasn't the biggest fan of the social links. I kind of caught wind in Persona 5 that you can, you choose the right answers and things like that to progress it faster.
yeah.
I don't really feel like I don't know, man. I mean, I think the biggest disconnect that I'm having with the social links is that I'm used to Persona 5. When you do this rank 4, such and such, you get this ability, help you with this in battle, all that type of stuff. I'm feeling less
Yeah,
compelled to do the social links because I'm like, I'd get an experience if I do a fusion, or because I don't think you can infuse no more. I don't think you can infuse in 3, but out of doing an infusion, um, and getting a final persona, for that arcana, I don't feel super compelled to do them like they hold that much weight. versus like in
Mm-hmm.
Persona 5, I was in there looking like, all right, boom, boom. You know, for a fact, I need to do Mishima, whatever that dude name was, the dude that helped the Phantom Thieves or whatever. I think there's I forgot their name, the Phantom Thieves or whatever.
I think just Phantom things, yeah.
Because he give you more experience, and then there be certain things. So I'm looking like, hey, I need to go do this social link and stuff like that. So, basically, to answer your question, I mean, they plus or minus, man. It ain't nothing I'm really like, hey man, I'm really interested. I guess I was kind of interested in Delusional, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Delusional,
Because it was
bro.
just like, I'm like, I'm like, is this dude tweaking? And it was just weird that he always wanted to talk about a
Yeah,
girl or
boy.
something like that. Like, he like, have you ever kissed a girl before? And
Like,
and I think one of the answers, if you choose like, yeah, he get mad at you or something like, what? I think the correct answer is like, yeah, I kissed a lot of them or something, or no, or I was just like, I don't
no,
know, this dude kind of
it was what
weird.
type of girls you like. You like younger girls or older women. And
Yeah,
I
one that was
think if you
older,
say
yeah,
neither or something, he get an attitude. Or you say younger or something. I like, bro, I
yeah.
can't stand this dude. But he was funny to me because he kept. I was like, bro, is he finna? He finna like sound like he finna ask me out. I said,
It
hold
was
on,
weird how he
cuz.
approached you and stuff. Like, I
Yeah,
think one of the things when he first talked to you, he was like, I don't know if you could say like get lost or like why are you talking to me? Like it was something like that. I'm like, I'm finna say something because I don't like his little picture thingy that pop up at the bottom, like his eyes, like he got
bro.
the bottom of his eyes raised up. I'm like, bro, get lost.
Yeah.
Like, what
This
are you
game would
talking
be
about?
10 times better if I didn't have to if they didn't determine the best answer for me. Like I'd be so much happier if they didn't do that, but they obviously do. But yeah, it's just those things like that plus disconnection on like bad written characters. It just doesn't really help with me and like connecting like I used to do with Persona 4. So um and if I did that, if I would did that same thing in Persona 5, I think I would have dropped that game faster too. Because I wasn't doing that either. Because I wasn't out. Like honestly, I was going in blind, just playing the game to play it. So I think I messed myself up when I was like, "Wait, you got to do the right answer to do this," and I didn't know none of that stuff, bro. So yeah.
I mean, maybe you can answer. What's the point of doing the social links in that game aside from experiencing again a final Persona
You
and
talking
knowing their story?
me or Jalen or Josh?
Shoot,
Yeah,
either
you
or. I mean, if you're got the answer.
Oh,
no, I think that's a fair point. Because really, that was when the game came out. There was no other incentive other than you want to do it. Like you want to learn, know these people. You want to spend your time and level up and get experience because that's the only thing to do. Whereas like
mm-hmm.
5 added the additional aspect of it, where it's like, well, it's beneficial. Like you get extra ammo, you get extra life, you can get extra everything. You get an extra turn or something like that. So it made it a gameplay incentive, whereas like 4 and 3 don't have that. That's only in 5. So yeah,
Yeah,
that is a abject like it's objectively better in Persona 5 to have a gameplay benefit to it. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not there. Later on, you're gonna meet more people, and you might like their stories, and you gonna meet people outside of the school as well who are gonna have different stories. So I'll say yeah, it's really just you enjoy the stories that you meet, you enjoy these characters, or maybe you don't enjoy them, you hate this person but you got to hang out with them, and so that's why you do it.
yeah. So I think there's a lot to the game, and I think there's a lot of fun to be had. I think there is some stuff that is boiling, like I said, Jalen. I wouldn't give up, but there is some stuff that is boiling in regards to like I think there's some stuff that's about to happen. There's some stuff being
Yeah, I was looking
introduced.
it up,
Yeah,
that Deontay's close to some stuff that I won't spoil, but yeah, the game, as far as like your main characters, their story starts getting more interesting because in the beginning they're pretty basic, but they start giving your main characters some background and plot too.
yeah,
But also you're gonna start meeting some more like weird or interesting social links as well. Like I said, people who are not in the school and stuff like that.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, yeah, overall, it's way more simple and basic, and that can kind of be boring. In the especially early on when you don't have enough stuff to do.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, there's some other stuff. There's some good there, and sometimes simplifying that stuff is better for me in regards to like just kind of wrapping my head around it all. Like I said, I wasn't trying to do that on other stuff, so I get where you coming from, Jalen. Like if you're going from like a super complex thing to like more simplified approach, you're like, well, that I already kind of understood the more complex approach. Why not keep going, but and bring some of that stuff over? But I think I'm just appreciating it for what it is right now and trying to just play it. And but it still got a grasp on me for like I said, I put in a lot of time and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. I was thinking about my social links when I was at work today, which is hilarious. I'm like, why am I thinking about social links right now? But just thinking about that stuff is, interesting enough to keep me going and playing it at least. Um any final thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep playing it and stuff like that. My goal was to play it hardcore until like Final Fantasy come out, but I'm like,
Hmm.
I just beat this dungeon or not this dungeon. Last thing I do like that.
You just cut out, bro.
Nah,
Yeah, you cut out.
Oh.
yeah. So I will say I do like that. You don't have to go back into Tartarus so far for the first two bosses. It didn't be like, all right, go back to resume this for it to go fight this boss in Tartarus.
Oh, never mind.
It, it went to you go to Narkar for the first boss, and it's a monorail, and then the second one, it didn't tell me to go back to that foreign Tartarus, but it pushed me into Tartarus to go fight a boss, and the boss is like at the beginning, like
Mm,
before you even walk
mm,
in. So I mean,
mm.
it added a little bit of deviation, even though I was still in there, but it wasn't just like, all right, well, you made it to this checkpoint. Go fight this boss in Tartarus now. Like it ain't
Yeah.
like resume your exact four that you was on. Even though they put me into the random generated dungeon thingy at first, it didn't feel was like because that would have been more trash. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like go down to this floor and fight this boss. Like that'd have been more trash. But again, I'm gonna play it. I was hoping to play a hardcore before Final Fantasy came out, but like I said, I just beat that boss. I ain't been feeling the most compelled to play it because I'm like, I'm probably gonna go back to the same rigmarole. They're gonna talk about a little bit of story stuff, and then we're gonna have to wait until July 8th or 7th or whatever 9th, whatever the full moon pop back up again to fight the next boss. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just take it for what it is. So,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
I mean, versus like I'm like I need to see this next dungeon how it look in Persona 5 or stuff pop off. Like it was just moving quick and stuff like that. So I'm sure it probably pick up and stuff, but it's just not. It's not as quick. It's not as enticing as or the gameplay even was Persona 5. But I'm trying not to hold it to a candle of Persona 5 because it is a successor. I think most people like Persona 5, and I think Persona 5 is probably a little bit more easier to get into for people, and I think that's why they've been trying to. That's probably why they had the most success with that game. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, we got like 10 minutes to kind of go over this before we had to get up out of here. But the PS5 being in a later half of its life cycle. I kind of want to touch on that before we had to book it. Um so sorry to kind of switch subjects really quickly, but um what are y'all thoughts on the generation cycle time wise? Do y'all feel like it's too short? Do y'all feel like it's too long? There's obviously going to be a shift. There's obviously a shift because of the large amount of games and how they have to be made and how long it takes. Um, are we okay with everybody being on that GTA schedule where they make one game every two generations? Or do we want games to continue to come out on a yearly basis and churn and burn like that good old Call of Duty? Um, well, I don't know. What are y'all thoughts on that generational and PlayStation coming out and stating that hey, this is going to be a hard 7 year turnaround time?
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like a lot of people were caught off guard with PlayStation saying that we're entering the second half of its life cycle. Because one, like PlayStation 5 specifically was hard to get for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And to say like this 1 year where it's been readily available is now we're gonna start winding down is surprising. Because it's been popular and it doesn't feel like the console itself is like weak necessarily or anything. There's some unoptimized games, but it feels like the console has a lot of life left into it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like hardware and I guess like development wise, they're gonna start winding down, and I think it's gonna be a problem because like you said, a lot of companies are putting out one game per generation unless you're like Insomniac and you working overtime.
And you want to maximize that. I think that's what Xbox is solving for, because they only get one console for that year,
Mhm.
for that generation. Xbox trying to solve and like, okay, but we can put it on everything. But
Yeah.
it's tough. And but
Yeah,
continue.
especially
Sorry,
for the
sorry.
cost of games. Yeah, the cost of games and the cost of the console. Having one game from like let's say Horizon devs. The Horizon devs are gonna put out one game this generation, and then we gotta wait till next generation, and that doesn't feel good. It feels like a wasted potential because like you want to see. I mean, especially like PS2, you'll see like multiple God of War games, multiple Spider-Man games, multiple everything, and
Mm-hmm.
that whole generation could be explained as like, well, the best Ratchet and Clank games came out in the PS2 generation. We had 4 games or something like that. Whereas now you get one, maybe.
Rift Apart, yeah.
Yep, and then
You ain't
no
gonna see
DLC,
nothing else
like
until
nothing
26.
else.
They gonna
Yeah.
be launching that boy with the PS6.
Mhm. So yeah, it kind of sucks. I think it makes sense because generations used to be shorter. It used to be like 5 years, maybe 7. The PS3 generation was too long, and so people kind of expected. I guess they might have you know uh, messed up some expectations where it should be longer than 7.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think it's weird because now I'm in a weird spot where I don't have a PS5.
Mm.
Should I get a PS5 for Final Fantasy? That's the game that I want. Maybe I can get Final Fantasy, get a PS5, and then play it when I'm done, sell it. But now we're in this situation where the PS5 Pro is heavily rumored to be coming out soon, and then the PlayStation 6 probably not too long after that. So it's like maybe I'm only gonna have a PS5 for 2 years, and then the new system's coming out. And
Yeah.
even if I get a PS5 now, I'm gonna have the worst version of the PS5 because there's gonna be a new one coming out this year, and then in 2 years the brand new thing coming out. So yeah, it's weird. And I think that might hurt, uh, not hurt Sony because people gonna buy it, it's gonna sell out, but it's gonna it's gonna hurt some people's gonna have some buyer's remorse, and that's gonna make people more worried to buy the next thing, especially if the next thing is expensive.
Um, I think they are making sure people just are comfortable. Hold their console is going to hold value, so I think there's a lot of good in that. Like the Xbox held its value. I think the PS5 still holds its value. You can't buy them for cheap. Actually, PlayStation raised the price. You could find the Xbox for pretty cheap as of now, as of recently, but that's markdowns. It's not like they're well, actually, I take that back. Microsoft did mark it down to $400. I think, yeah, I think they knocked it down to 400 for a while. And I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was that way for quite a bit of time. And I think that's going to be like the extent of a discount for them. It's $100. Um, so that is why the Xbox Series S exists. It's the cheaper way to get in, but but PlayStation ain't got that. So I think their tier system is going to be a little skewed because I feel like the PlayStation 5 is still going to be viable, and they're not going to leave that player base for a very long time. Like nobody's going to just play to target the PS6. Nobody. Doesn't make any sense. They're not going to just target the PS5 Pro. doesn't make any sense because this generation is going to probably be extended based off of cross gen to 10 years. Um, More than likely, your purchase will still be viable, Josh. You just have to be a comfortable not having the best quality of the game. Like that is really
Yeah.
what people have to start getting comfortable with. Kind of like a PC, you know. Like if you don't have the latest graphics card, you're not going to be able to, have the best experience. But that experience you are having is not going to be terrible either. That is where my thought is where it's going to go. It's going to be treated like the PC market. What are your thoughts, Jalen? What do you think about the tightening of the consoles and the games that you actually enjoy coming out less frequently? Like we're going to get a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're probably not going to see another game on this console. It's probably going to come on the PS6. That's my thought. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't really. When did the PS5 come out? Was it Christmas
2020.
or winter 2020?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't really care. I mean, I don't need the latest and greatest and stuff like that. I think I became real jaded when I worked at Best Buy, about knowing how fast technology cycle and stuff like that. And if you chase this race and stuff like that, you're just gonna be chasing. You're never gonna be there at peak unless you're just not gonna be at the peak, bro. So I'm comfortable with that. I don't need the latest and greatest stuff like that. As long as my gameplay and all that type of stuff is
Yeah.
fine. I mean, my PS5, I had it since I think the end of 21, or yeah, I think it was like winter 21. I got it, because I got that in the Xbox at the same time. I mean, it works fine. It do what I need it to do. I don't really care about getting a pro and stuff like that. I think they got all these performance and like the performance mode and then like the graphics mode, all that type of stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
think they accommodating, like you said, the cross gen type stuff that's going on. I think the PS5 gonna be viable for, I mean, most console generations except for like the PS2. I mean, they've been about 7 years, and I mean, even if you do the math, the PS2 been out for 7 years before they released the PS3. It was just the PS2 is such a viable console that it kind of lasted until like what 2008, nine, or something like that.
Well,
So
back at the PS4 release date. That came out in 2013. That thing just stopped being viable in 2022.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I mean, obviously with the PS4, you ran into them. That's
Yeah,
when it started turning more like computers and stuff like that. And
yeah,
your PS four sounded like a industrial fan going, like it's not gonna explode at any moment, bro. Like,
yeah.
but like I said, man, I don't. I feel comfortable with it. I think it's gonna be around for a while. If you do the math, I think they're gonna take in consideration COVID, the cross gen, all that type of stuff. I think the PS5 gonna be viable until at least like 20, at least till 28, man. I mean, I don't, yeah. And I'm fine if the next Final Fantasy don't come out. And I mean, I ain't anticipating that anyway. Like, I don't buy that many games and stuff on there, so it's not like I'm just getting shot in the foot by like, oh, I got to get another console and stuff like that. As long as they keep all the cross gen, some of the backwards compatibility stuff, man, I'm cool. It ain't even that deep.
That just puts so much
Yeah.
effort on these games not to suck. Like,
I
Yeah,
mean,
it
that's
does.
just what
imagine
it
like
is. They
Mortal
take longer to
Kombat
come
1,
out,
bro.
bro.
It's not great. I'm not Unfortunately, Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 are just better. It's not like they didn't make a good game, but they just that's the Mortal Kombat we got for this generation. And if it's not like super duper cool, you're not gonna get another one for another generation. Like you know how old we gonna be. Like that to me just makes me feel
Oh,
old.
I know we run out of time, but
Hmm.
the one thing that came out of the Sony thing where they said we're in the second half of the generation, it was also their stocks dropped a whole lot this week because
Mm.
they also said that their profit margin is not very high. I forget. I have to find the article. But it's something low, like 3 to 6%, where it's like we're gonna spend a whole bunch of money on these single player games and sell our console at a high price, but the actual profit margin is super, super low.
Mm.
And so that means that as games get more expensive, we got one game per generation. They're not making a whole lot of money off of it. So it's kind of like, is it even worth to spend that much making these games? Personally, I don't think so. I think they need to find a way to make cheaper games faster. So we have 3 God of War games per generation instead of one. But I don't know how that they can do that with the current state of the industry.
Jesus. Yeah, they lost 10 billion. They just had they said decade long.
Yeah,
Yeah, bro. They
the
need to
whole generation they only made 6%. I mean, not generation, the whole decade.
bro, that just tells me even more that that Xbox know what they doing. And it's just
Yeah,
like
Xbox is right. It's just, you know, Sony got the games, but
yeah.
I don't think that
I
they could do
just
another
think
10 years like they just did. I think that's the whole
nah.
problem.
That's the whole point, and I think that's why they're gonna start doing PC releases day one. Um because it just makes more sense. They don't need to build their brand anymore. They just need to sell their software and their consoles. But at the same time, like I think they're more in jeopardy of losing, like leaving the console generation, like leaving the console space than
Hmm.
Xbox. I ain't gonna lie to you because they don't have. Obviously, Sony is backing them, but um, they
Yeah,
just
but they're much
don't
smaller.
have. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they're not. They're not that type of. They don't have that type of money, G. And um, and Nintendo is in their own world. They can do whatever they want. To be honest, they don't have to do
Yeah,
anything
they
that
took
we
a
think.
hit with the whole Wii U generation. Like they had a whole bad generation. Like if Sony had a bad generation, they probably could like actually be
Go
like
under.
in buyout territory.
Yeah, they can. We go under. Um, and that's why they probably was pushing all the games and service stuff because it just makes more sense for them to be able to win people over and keep people playing and earn some money. Because they want obviously these companies, these big gaming companies, want these individuals to have places to play. So they don't want PlayStation or Sony, or Xbox or Nintendo to go out of business. They need to be able to make their games. So yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
crazy. I didn't know that. I thought they were actually. I heard about their profits being terrible, but I didn't know that they were doing it for a decade. That's a
yeah.
long time to be very low on profit. And like their margins being low. That's not. It doesn't mean that they're not profitable. It just means like it's like almost grocery store level, where you're just
Hmm.
skimming by. Like that is the type of tight market you're dealing with. And if they're continuously expanding their reach on like how much they spend on video games, that's why I kept saying that the Sony PlayStation. When I was talking about that Spider-Man deal. I said that junk looked trash. And
Yeah,
from
that's terrible. They're not gonna make any money off that, and they're gonna
and
spend so
Wolverine.
much money making that. Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, those are trash. I mean, the games are there, but that margin is terrible. Um, so yeah, I do feel bad for people in the gaming industry a lot because I know that there's a reason why certain things have to happen. Um, and and yeah, they need to be able to be profitable. Like that's just no there's no other way around it. And them going back on their whole um games of service situation tells me that they're still not making the right decisions.
hmm,
They're choosing not to do the things that they need to get done in order to stay profitable. And then buying companies and like making stuff third parties come to their system is still crazy to me. I think Square Enix is getting a big check. And there's a lot of value in actually building up your console experience to be better. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think I think we'll see. I think there's gonna come a time, and I think that's why Sony is looking for the PS5 Pro, or maybe they can make a better profit on that one than they could on the Slims. Like normally when you kind of when you start to make things, you supposed to make things cheaper so you can make the consumer pay less. They made that thing cheaper and kept the money. Um, that tells you all that like tells me all I need to know, to be honest. Um, but yeah. Mm, mm. I do not want to see Sony go under. I do not want Xbox to be the main thing. I do not. Like, as much as we talk about all that crap, I do not want anybody to fail. Like, honestly, like it doesn't
it's
make
better to
sense.
have competition,
Yeah,
healthy competition in both.
it.
Xbox being behind for a while, I think, was not good because Sony kind of, with like the crossplay and stuff, Xbox being behind would have not made Sony change. But we need both of them in a healthy space for the industry. And it'd be nice if Nintendo could be along with them as well, but they're just going to be on their own thing for a long time now.
Yeah, because they're
But
probably
at
the
least,
most profitable and on their own
oh
at
yeah,
this point.
you didn't see the news. Nintendo is the um, wealthiest video game company in Japan, but I had to clarify they might be the wealthiest company in Japan.
Yeah. I
Like
would
this
think so.
week.
That they created a device that fit their Nintendo 3DS niche and their console niche at home, and it blew up. Like that is it's not going to happen again to a degree of that
Yeah,
nature, but
as
it
of
is their new platform that people will tune into for sure.
yeah, as of 3 days ago, Nintendo is the richest company in Japan.
Wow. Wow. Hmm. Yeah, they obviously they milking us for all we got. I only got 3 games on that console, and that's all I'm ever gonna, you know. Like I never buy anything else. I bought both Zelda games, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, and I can literally name my games on my hand, and Bayonetta 2. Um, those are and it's been almost, sheesh, how many years? 8 years. It's been I
Yeah, it's
bought
been a
Ring
while.
Fit. I bought the Ring Fit. I did. I bought Ring Fit Adventures. Dang. I don't know how they doing it, but they doing it, right, Jay? They making money, ain't us. It for sure ain't me. I ain't the target audience, but they making money.
Hey, I sent them some cheese when Jack Wolf got me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nintendo
functions.
3DS.
They're like,
Uh,
pay me some money and we'll unlock your DS.
yeah, they don't
I'm
play
like,
about
that's how
that
y'all
piracy.
coming?
They sue everybody. They don't play about that piracy. Like they don't play,
Got
bro.
tickets everywhere.
They say, yeah, oh, yeah, they got sleeper agents everywhere. Sleeper agent.
I mean, they got stuff like Pokemon Go and all that. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. Like they always sell really well, and they have a large. They were able to like get the Nintendo Switch selling really well quickly, and then they just took off from there. Like their actual buy rate to their game, the ratio there is crazy. But we
Yeah,
gotta wrap it
they
up. Oh,
they
go ahead.
carved out their own market. But yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. That that is interesting. Didn't know that, but yeah. I want to thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry it's a little longer than usual, but appreciate you guys listening as always. If you enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and share. Do what you do best. But yeah, thank you for listening. Got to this part, you're the real OG. We will talk to y'all in the next one. Any last words for the people?
Nope. Log out of Helldivers so other people can play.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
Yeah, we got plenty of stuff we didn't get to, but we'll get to it next time. Thank you all for listening. Peace.